Firstly, I think you've got to work on yourself. In order to lead, the hardest person to lead is yourself. People get promoted because they're really good at their job, but leadership's a completely different skill set, and we often set up our people for failure. As a manager, take time, get out of your office, walk around the office, talk to people, find out what's going on in their world, find out how they're doing. That builds trust. Leading people is all about others, not about ourselves. That will go a long way for us being a successful leader and well-liked. So our job as a leader is to help our team do their job to the best of their ability.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ways to Wealth. Today I'm joined by Andy. Andy, why don't you give us the TLDR on who you are and what you're about?
Sure, thanks Charlie. Andy Rolston. I run a training and leadership development company called Rolston Leadership Group, and the main focus of that is helping managers become leaders. So look, we're corporate, so the executive suite, but also more medium-sized businesses. So we're in 22, a couple of hundred seats. Where that's a good-sized business where you've got a decent size management team, so you might have 5 to 10 managers, and so that's a good size to work with, rather than a small business where you've just got one person, which I can do, but it's easier.
But it doesn't make as much sense. I guess the impact's not as well. Okay, it could be used in preparation, but I guess it's different problems when you're brought in as a manager and leader versus an operator that has grown.
Yes. And look, I do one-on-one coaching, so that's a better fit for that type of thing. Yeah. But when it comes to training teams or leaders, then having a group doing it together, they kind of bounce off each other, or they're learning off each other as well. Yeah. And so there's more chance for transformation by them implementing, and I just find, when they're working as a group and the manager, their boss is on board, right, then the whole organisation is working together rather than just one person and everyone's doing disjointed things,
Which would you say is more common with smaller entities, ironically?
Yeah, often. You might get one person growing and learning and someone else doing something, so they're all doing different things. But if you can kind of get them working on one project or one growth area
rowing in the same direction,
rowing in the same direction, all doing the same stuff. And my manager to leader program that I have is great at everybody being on the same page, all doing the same thing, all practicing the same skill at the same time, and so that's quite beneficial. Yeah,
cool. And kind of, I guess, how long has it been going again? So how long have you been running it?
So I kind of started this and moved into this in 2018. So my background is a rugby coach. I coached, I was in the corporate scene, and I'd had enough of the corporate scene. And so left the corporate scene and went back to school for a couple of years to train as a coach. And so I played rugby. So rugby's kind of the niche that I specialised in, and went overseas to coach rugby, and have coached in England for a couple of summers. And so through that, I actually learned a lot, probably more about leadership coaching than I have actually working in the corporate.
And why do you think that is?
I think just because of the team dynamics. It was probably more of a crash course, because you actually, as a coach, you are by default leading 22, some of 30 players, all have different skill sets, different levels of ability. And so you've got to try and bring that together so that hopefully on Saturday they all perform well, and you can win. So I think as a leader, you were forced to change and adapt and learn a lot quicker than you would be perhaps in a corporate scene, because you can hide away in a corporate.
Because the results are clearer, right?
The results are clearer, and they're
transparency.
You're in the field,
week, you're in the training session, but you're then on the field when they're having matches.
And so I think you're having to deal with personalities and things a lot sooner, and deal with problems a lot quicker than you could in the things. And so, we talk about sometimes difficult conversations, which everybody hates, but you can't let poor performance or something go too long in a team, because it affects everybody really quickly, right? So you've got to deal with that. So you've got to have that difficult conversation sooner than later.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So there's more feedback. There's a faster feedback loop.
Way faster.
And that forces you into making decisions.
Yep.
And acting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were like, you loved the game, I assume, and that's how, or was the coaching, I guess, more important, or was it rugby, I guess, first? What came first?
I've always loved sports. It's been a passion. And so when I went back to school to learn how to coach, I was playing rugby at the same time. I'd had a break, and so I was in my late 20s. Right. And started playing rugby again and was loving that, and then moved into coaching. And I love both. Right. And so, but the more I got into learning and coaching and things, I really enjoyed that training and development and seeing people excel and learn and transform through a season. Right. So I just love the aspect of teaching them new skills. And I used to try and make trainings interesting, because the problem with training is often you do the same drills every week and it gets quite boring. So I used to try and be quite creative with what I was teaching. But also you're still learning a skill. So changing the drills, but you're still achieving the same result by learning the skill that you're wanting to develop, but you do it in a different way. And the team love the variety of doing something different, because it can get quite boring, right? And so when we're learning a skill, and that's what makes great players, is just that the repetitiveness of doing the basics well. Yeah. And the challenge I had with some of the players were, they want to do all this tricky stuff and the flash moves and the stuff like that, but you can't coach that. That comes by repetition of doing the basics well, right? And if we look at the All Blacks and international teams, they might do the offload or something that looks amazing, but that only comes as a result of understanding how to pass, run and catch well. Yeah, right. Right? Yeah, and confidence. Those opportunities happen, and you take that moment because you've done the basics and you understand the basics well. Yeah, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu. Right. And there's obviously drilling. Yes. Which is a big thing. And then there's this emergence of this thing called ecological jiu-jitsu, which is, in essence, more learning by moving. Right. Which is quite interesting to see the two. And some gyms have been ahead of the game in terms of specific situations, and then learning how to drill and get the movement better with some resistance. Yeah. It all depends on how you teach, right? You can have, don't worry about that. You can have, a coaching regime, which is very much a long warm up and kind of almost like a cardio workout, or almost like a weight workout, and then lots of drilling followed by then sparring. And you go from drilling to sparring. And I actually quite like the approach, and we do it a lot more at our gym now, but when I was at a gym in the US, they did it, which was basically, they had actually a warm-up sequence, which was actually 8 moves between 2 people. Yep. All together, strung together. They have a warm-up series, which is really good for getting the body warm. Yep. But also for repetition of a bunch of different moves. Yes. And then they would obviously drill move of the day. That's typically how it rolls. And then they do situational sparring, which is very good. Yep. Yeah. And then they move on to sparring. Right. But it's warming you up as well, because it's quite hard on the body to go from drilling to actually sparring free. Yep. One of the things I used to do was, I quite like a Tuesday was generally a fitness focus on fitness. Yeah. I used to like doing circuits. Yeah. Right. So lots of stations and short, and so really intense. Yeah. And then they move on and get variety. And so, and then what I used to do is I would do my skill development part of training at the end when they're tired. Generally a lot of coaches, particularly young, junior or, at the lower levels, do that stuff at the beginning when they're fresh and things. I want to do it when they were tired because that's when it mattered in the game. When they're exhausted, they're fatigued and their concentration is lacking. And so I used to do those intricate skill things then because that's where they needed to get it right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And like you said, with situational, then we'd do situational play throughout the season. So I remember, you'd pick a scenario like it might be, okay, you're 3 points down, you're in this part of the field, there's 5 minutes to go.
Right, that's interesting.
Let them play a scenario, and then we go, okay, why did you make these decisions and what was your thinking? And so we would do that stuff all the time throughout the season. Pick different situational plays so that, when they get to a situation on the field, they know what to do because they've practiced it.
Yeah.
And for us, one year it happened in the semi-finals. We were finished 4th, and so we were playing the number 1 team in the semi-final. It was like literally 10 minutes to go. We were 3 points or 4 points ahead, and the team essentially just shut the game down. They kept the ball. They didn't need to score. They didn't need to spin it wide because it was such an intense game. But they knew exactly what they needed to do in order to secure the win by holding on to the ball. And that only happened because of the situational play that we had done throughout the season. If we had not done that, then perhaps they might have tried to be a hero, or someone might have tried to be a hero and score or something. Whereas we actually just needed to control the game.
Yeah, because you could have introduced unnecessary risk.
Yes, yeah. The backs were a bit peeved because they didn't get the ball because we kept it in the forwards, but that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's fascinating. So I think, and the same in business and teams, leadership, situational play, practicing those things is just important. So it's not just a sport thing, I don't think.
No. Well, I think the sport gives you, it's like gaming and esports for me personally, but also what I've seen. And the difference between, I've competed in sports and various different sports as well, across pool, esports, different like football, jiu-jitsu, etc. And they're all they've got these commonalities. And I also think it's, like the benefit of games, any game, could be poker, could be like any game, is that you basically get an unreasonable amount of repetition. That's why esports was so interested versus traditional sports, because you didn't have your body shutting down on you.
Sure.
So the amount of repetition and practice becomes more intense, right? And then the competition may be higher because everyone's able to put in X amount of hours. But I think it prepares people well for, I guess, more commercialized decision making and activities, because the feedback loop in business is much slower.
Yes, it is.
But then there's a difference, right, about kind of overdoing things. Right. I do find that, athletes are often movers and shakers and they want things to move quickly. And I think that's both maybe a benefit and potentially at times a struggle, because you are used to being in an environment where things change. I don't know what your take on that is. I just kind of...
I think you're right. I mean, in business, it's a lot slower, right? And so you don't... And sometimes there's processes that have to happen. But, interesting. I think that's probably a correct take on that. In sport, things do happen a lot quicker, and it has to. The timeline of people's patience is quite short compared to a business. If you think about, I reckon international coaches probably have it the worst in that regard of having to almost think long term. And you've seen in football and rugby and all sorts of sports where sometimes they will go, right, we're going to really rebuild a team. And I mean, the UK did it. Well, England did it recently with their soccer team, with their football team. And they had a very young team, and they did quite well. But often it's hard to actually get buy-in. Well, see, it's interesting, Charlie. The buy-in is really, really important. And the All Blacks did it in 2007.
Right.
There's a great book by James Kerr called Legacy.
And
he talks about how after that World Cup, they realised that the culture was not great and they needed to do a shift. And so what they ended up doing was empowering the players to take ownership of the team and training. And so there was a shift from Sunday to Thursday, and so there was a slow transference of authority from management to the players. And so by the time Thursday, Friday came, the players are essentially running the show. And Saturday, and obviously Graham Henry was just, was almost a consultant all things, but they had their game plan, but the senior management of the team and the players took ownership. And so they took ownership of discipline. So if a player broke curfew or something, the players would deal with it.
Right.
And so what we saw over that next 4 years, obviously they won the 2011 World Cup in 2015, it changed the culture, but the players got buy-in as well. And so when the players bought in and everyone's on the same page, then, we saw a great 8 years of New Zealand rugby because of that empowerment of management to players. And I think that's really important with teams in a corporate situation, is leaders empowering their people to make decisions, to do stuff. And biggest thing I think is egos, is letting go the ego.
Right.
And letting other people take control or initiative and do stuff. And letting them make mistakes. Right? As long as it's, not costing a fortune. I think we should be allowing people to make mistakes and then learning from it. Yeah. Because we don't learn anything from success.
Not really.
Do we? I mean, in jiu-jitsu, we get better by failing, stuffing up. Yeah,
that's right.
And rugby's the same. The whole point of practice is failing so that we get it right.
Yeah, yeah. You want to fail where it's not fatal.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's actually the only line you have to really watch out for. Is just like, you just try and make sure that none of your mistakes are going to, and that's the same with the game around, you're talking about holding the ball back and playing in a certain way to basically kind of ensure that you're going to get to your end point that you already had almost guaranteed. Yeah. It's definitely about making mistakes and learning. Yes. And then iterating and trying to, as a leadership team and an organization or any sort of, construct, is how do we make it so you can freely make decisions which may end up in outcomes that we don't like, without it being, fatal. Yeah.
One of the things I used to do at halftime particularly was talk to when the halftime huddle, and I'd talk to the players and ask them what's going on. Right. I didn't want to tell them what my was, because what I found was the players knew what was going wrong or what was going wrong. And so by me saying, okay, tell me what's happening, then they take ownership of it.
That's quite good.
Right?
I like
Rather than me just telling, you need to do this, and doing this wrong. It's because they know what's not working. Yeah. And by them verbalizing that, they then take ownership of it and go, okay, what are we going to do? They come up with a solution, and I might just suggest a few things. And usually I had keywords for them to focus on, and rather than this whole, alliteration of words that some coaches might, spout during a half time and rant and rave.
Yeah. I mean, we want to explore that kind of gap, right? Of where they are in the game and where they need to be or want to be. Yep. And by asking them, they vote, they're kind of, and then you're able to reinforce it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I love that. So that worked really well for me as a coach. And because I worked with a coach in Canada, and he used to yell and scream and rant and rave. And I don't think you achieve anything by doing that. Well, I know you don't. Yeah. Because players turn off. Right. But when you can help them buy in and take ownership of their actions and behaviour,
I like that.
Then you get transformation and you get change.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of times where I could, do that.
Yeah. And the other thing is actually sometimes we give people too much to do, or we overload them with stuff.
Too much information, too much noise.
Too much stuff to do. And I remember one player, a young girl who was getting her start as a number 7. Yeah. And I could just see this overwhelm, it's a big opportunity.
Yeah, right.
And there's all the stuff going through her head, right? Yep. And so I remember taking her aside before the game started, and I said, hey, Steph, I just want you to focus on one thing today. If you do that, everything else will take care of itself. But this is what I need you to focus on. This is the most important skill for you today. And it was just like this big burden or thing. It's just, and you kind of relax, right? Because I knew all the other stuff would take care of itself. And you can work on that at another time, right? But if she's thinking about too many things, then she's not going to do anything well. And so sometimes just giving someone one thing to focus on is very powerful and important.
Yeah, I've been encouraging some of our team to do more time blocking. It works really well for me. And I have a lot of ideas, and I'm very, active of like distracting. So, if we have a conversation where we're focusing on one thing, I'll probably find a way for us to find four other tangents for us to then work on. But obviously I know it's a deficit in myself, and it's something that I've worked on quite a lot. And for me personally, time blocking is just that's how I often deal with it.
I think it's really good, because one of the things I would talk about also is a power hour, right? Just setting aside 1 hour a day where you just no distractions, turn off the phone, don't talk to anybody, even colleagues. It's like, and sometimes I say, put a sign up. And it's like, this is my power hour, so everybody knows not to interrupt, and then you can get that time blocking and focus. And it's amazing how much you'll achieve when you can do that.
That's right. So that's like, and then my coach, one of my first coach in jiu-jitsu, he would coach people on a specific thing. So he would basically have little side quests from I guess maybe not all students, because maybe some of the students are more like in and out, kind of not as there, but with anyone that was like really serious or he'd be like, he'd have side quests with you where he'd be like, okay, I want you to just do this for next. And you might be on that side quest for a month and a half.
Right.
But what you've achieved after that month and a half is very interesting because a lot of jiu-jitsu is intuitive.
Right.
Intuitive movements from reactions. So, if someone's like, hey, I just want you to try and take someone's back, right, and be on their back, you'd be amazed by how many different ways you find yourself there. And I guess it's the same you could probably apply that similar process to something like sales, right?
Yes.
I just want you to get to this part of the conversation with them. Right. And
I was having a plan, right, when you go in, and then sales is a good point is, these are discovery questions that you should be asking. And one of the things for me in sales is, these 5 things that I need to cover in order to get a high chance of getting a sale, right? And if I don't cover those things, the sale is lost, right? And so these different ways of getting to that end game, but if I cover the 5 things, which are what is the challenge, or the challenge they're having, or obstacle, what is the outcome, what is the timing, the budget, and decision maker.
Right.
So if I can cover all those things, then there's a good chance that the sale might happen. Right.
Yeah, inputs you can control.
It puts me in control. And there's different ways to get there, but the essence of that, did I cover the outcome? What do they really want?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have the idea, right, we know what we're trying to sell them out service, right?
Yes.
And we think you need this, but it's not actually what they want. And so it's really important to understand what their outcome would look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning a lot more about that kind of thing, just from kind of different phases of the business, right? You leave the build phase and you build a bunch of product and offerings, and they start to make sense, and then you're all of a sudden you're very focused on like how do you think about communicating with people to get them what they need, which may actually be your service, and they need your service, but if you're like, hey, you need this, then they're maybe not going to be receptive. And it's the same with coaching.
Yes. Where
you need people to find their own way. Just like, very common in investing, and obviously I'm in that space quite a lot, is the idea is like signal, they call them signals, and people sell basically their signals, which is basically all their investing ideas, I guess, right? And it's a very common and a little bit of a weird space on the internet where, you know, you can join these different channels and you get investment ideas essentially.
Right.
And a lot of the problems with those is like, how do you know? How do you truly know then are you going to do it? Because you're not giving them capital and them executing on the strategy that they've built and what they know.
Yeah.
You're reading an idea and then you're having to then work out, well, is that idea good? And there's a lot of second guessing. I guess you can just blindly follow, and that would probably have better outcomes. I think it comes to more though to, it's so much easier to follow through on a plan when you know something to be true rather than regurgitation. It's like that first principles thinking of taking the time to know.
Yes.
Or to have practiced or to have done the power hour.
And I think with coaching, true coaching is not always giving the answer, right? It's helping the person you're coaching to come up with the ideas because they have it. So it's trying to extract that out of them. But you can also, as a coach, mentor them and say, this is what I've done and this is what I found to be effective and worked. And so I quite like that because it's like, okay, here's my experience, worked really well for me. I still can't guarantee it'll work for you. You know, but if you follow the system, the chances are really high that it will work for you. And so I kind of like that rather than coaching and telling people what to do, because then they don't take ownership, right? And it was like the halftime talk for me. If I just told them what to do, good chance that the next half will be the same as the first half.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, rather than them actually trying to understand and take it on board themselves and verbalize that. And so that was helpful. So I think and this is the same, right? When people take ownership and articulate that. But we certainly guide them, right? Because we have the experience, the knowledge, we've got the proof that it works. And so we can help people. And I think people want to follow a system.
Right? Systems and frameworks and principles that they know and can trust. I definitely think that's the future as well around, because like, you know, software and technology being delivered, I mean, it's still really hard. Actually, I think that there's a lot of hype around like, oh, it's easy, anyone can build tech now. Like, that's just not true. You can build something that looks seemingly good on the face value, but actually under the hood, it's really hard to build software and then build software that scales. But in theory, that's only going to get better, right? So we have to assume at some point in the future, delivering technology is going to be very accessible. Most likely. But I guess, you know, so software's going to be more accessible, but it's the frameworks and principles that are important in how people consume products, services, ways of doing things now, I think. Like, because the commodity is the jobs or executing jobs. But actually it's like, okay, well, how do I think about my wealth? How do I think about building my career? How do I think about leading my team?
No, I agree. I think because there's so much stuff out there, right, as well. And I think we get confused and, you know, even in the coaching space, it's like there's all these systems. And if you look on LinkedIn and Facebook, everyone's got a system on that's working. All you have to do is this. And as you said, it's not as easy as they make out. It's hard work, anything that we do, right? And so I think you've got to, whatever technology, if you're using technology or using something to help you grow your career or business or whatever it may be, is pick one and focus on it rather than get distracted by all these things or these shiny objects. And I'm finding that, you know, there's lots of distractions. And the reason I think people are not necessarily as successful as they could be is because we get distracted. And it's, oh, that looks good, that looks good. And one of my things this year is to be very intentional about what I'm doing, and I'm becoming very focused. So I've unsubscribed from a whole lot of stuff. Right. Just because it's a distraction. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's distracting me from my main focus and purpose. And I think we need to get a lot more clarity around what we're trying to achieve, as you said. And when we do that, then we can pick the technology and the things that will help us get there. And then we just have to be laser focused. and forget all the noise.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. That's really hard.
Yeah, that is a bit.
Right, because you see something, oh, that looks good, right?
Yeah.
And then it takes you away from what you're trying to do. Whereas I think for me, and so I'm being very intentional this year about that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So you started off, you basically were working in corporate straight away out of education. Then you got into...
No, I actually left school and became a mechanic.
Right.
So I went from being a grease monkey and then to getting into corporate, which was a company called Databanks under the computer industry.
And you were just sales or something?
No, I was actually a computer operator. My first job was processing checks. No one knows what they are now in New Zealand. So it was a big machine that processed all the bank checks, and then they get sorted in the bank and branch and then get sent back to the company. Then I became a computer operator. Then I was living in Tauranga and the branch closed down. I got transferred or took a job in offered a job in Wellington. So I went to Wellington and was in head office, then got seconded into head office as a business analyst. And so that was kind of my corporate
experience. Where that was your sprint in corporate. And then and also being a mechanic first.
Yeah.
But that actually is that makes sense actually. That progression does make sense, right? Because being a computer operator back in the day was a bit different to being a computer operator now when we got laptops and devices.
That's right. We had
everywhere.
mainframe. That was our computer thing. I remember when the first PC came out, it was I think we were using a 286 and they had 20 meg of memory. Yeah. And we'd be bringing a file in from an organization. We had to take half the software off because the file was like 5 meg and we didn't have enough space to bring the file in.
Yeah.
And so it's very different to what it is today. Yeah, for sure.
And then you decided to make the shift, go back into training and then get into coaching.
Yeah. So I did that. And then it's probably when I started my own business. I ended up painting while I was training. Someone asked me to paint their house, and I'm quite good with my hands, so I can do most things. Yeah. And so I started painting houses to get me through school, and then I had the opportunity to go to Canada to coach for a team over there in Toronto. So I packed up the family and went there for 2.5 years, and then came back, put an ad in the paper and started painting again for a few years, because it's what I knew. Other things I did was then got in the seminar industry, so promoting speakers that sold courses on stage.
Right. So you were around a lot of people that were also kind of working in a similar performance space, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. And so part of that, being involved in the seminar industry, which I really loved, I liked the teaching and coaching of people, which is what I liked about rugby. And what I say now is coaching people, in the leadership space, or coaching rugby is the same thing essentially. Yeah. Just using a different ball. Yeah, right. The principles are exactly the same. And so before I got into this, I had the opportunity to buy a carpet cleaning company. And so before I went full time in what I'm doing now, I had a carpet cleaning business, which I sold in 21 to my business partner. And so that was a great business. Yeah, I imagine they're good. Yeah. But we changed the model because when we bought it, it was off someone we knew. It was overstaffed, not making money. It certainly had lots of potential. And so we changed the model when we took it over. We got rid of all the staff, or we let them go. And we had an office lady, or they had an office lady that worked from like 10 till 2. And it's like, that wasn't going to work for us because she had kids and it was school hours, so we needed someone full time. So we ended up finding a lady to work from 8 till 5. Yeah. But she worked from home. Right. And so she could manage the kids, which was fine. And then my business partner and I just worked in the business ourselves and built it up. And so when we needed extra workers, like we did lots of commercial stuff and things, which is usually at night or on the weekend, we hired casuals. And so we completely changed the model of having staff and changed it to having casual workers because we could get them when we needed them. We didn't have to keep finding work for them during the day. And that worked really well. So there were most things during the day that my business partner and I could do just by ourselves, even if it was a small commercial thing. Yeah. But anything that was bigger, we could get 5, 6 casuals in and work the night. And, it was more profitable. It was easier and less stress. Yeah.
And how many years did you do that for?
I did that for 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, what was the acquisition slightly distressed? Was it a bit of a distressed acquisition where you were able to get a good price, or?
I wouldn't say it was distressed, maybe a little bit. The guy that we bought off had 3 businesses, and he kind of wanted to get rid of that part of it and just focus on the other 2. And it was all in the same industry.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity arose we'll buy it off you.
Yeah, right.
And, we knew what the opportunity was. And there were some good contracts there to start with, but we built that up. And over the next 4 years, which was just before COVID, we really had built it up significantly. And it was a great little business.
And it was a good exit?
Yeah, it was for me, yeah. Yeah, because I'd always had plan B.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, my partner didn't have plan B. And so it came a bit of a surprise when I said I wanted to exit, which I found interesting because...
Oh, but you exited into him, right?
So I sold it to him.
Yeah. Right.
Which is a great way, because often when you're trying to sell a business, it can take...
a long time.
A couple of years or a long time, right? And so I was very fortunate that he wanted to buy my share out.
Right.
So it was a very quick and simple transaction.
That's lucky.
Transition. Yeah. Very lucky, because it can be quite difficult. But as a business owner, we should always be building our business for sale, right? Whether we sell or not is irrelevant.
Yes, that's right.
So building the systems and processes, and my business partner, I don't think quite got that. That was always my intention.
Yeah, right.
To build it up and potentially sell. Right. Yeah. And so I think if we take that mindset, then we put the systems and process. So when you do go to sell, you've got everything in place, right? And it makes that transition easy, because the problem, and what I've seen with some business owners and talking to business brokers, is when people want to sell, then you've got to spend 2 years actually systemizing it and so it's actually saleable.
Because we did a 2005 business report, sales report. So we got 5,000 listings of all the multiples and all the reasons why businesses do and don't sell, and how you can expand the multiple, because you're trying to optimize your actual valuation based on a multiple, and which multiple is used for your business can be dependent on how you run your business.
Absolutely.
The SOPs. You've got, the regional aspect of it, because that can add a lot of value, etc. So you do have to actually think about, would someone else want this? You don't need to sell it.
No, that's right.
It's just like startups as well. When you build a startup just thinking about selling it, it's kind of this duality, right? Of what you see is another extreme. So I think what you see with SMEs is they work in their business.
Yes.
They do it, and it's their job, really.
They bought a job, right?
And they don't think about, okay, what happens if I want to sell it?
Yep.
And then you get on the other extreme is startup founders that will start a business with the sole intent of selling it to Amazon.
Yes.
And I know that because that was me. When I started my gaming business, all I wanted to do was exit to Amazon for $300 million.
Right.
But...
how did that work for you?
It was definitely nowhere near that, but we did it. We did get to sell it.
Excellent.
But I wasn't so focused on some of the things that I thought I should have been, that I, in retrospect, should have been focused on. It was definitely a learning for me. Not that we necessarily did anything that any other startup in that space was doing, because actually that was the cultural mindset behind building business, especially in that kind of 2017, 2018 space. It was all about how do you grow as quickly as possible and exit. So there's kind of two paradigms there, right? And both probably need to meet a little bit in the middle.
Yeah. But the end goal was still to sell, right? And that's the important thing of having the end goal of selling, whether it's to Amazon for 300 million or selling to someone else that wants to buy a small business that's profitable, has systems.
Yeah.
And that's why franchising is probably attractive, right? Because there's a system in place.
Framework and principles that you can follow. You do have, you're subservient to some of the practices of whoever you join, but like you say, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And for some people, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Just like intrapreneurship, when you've got someone in an organization starts a new business unit that's a separate entity with their employer essentially backing them, gives them that framework and that cushion, which is so helpful. It talks about those being able to make decisions that don't turn out well without it all blowing up, which is something interesting. And we do it. We end up speaking to a lot of owners, right? About where do you even want to get to? Right? It's like, hey, where's the end goal? And that's, I think, often the first piece, which is it's typically like, I just want to retire well. But it's not like, and then also those people are also not, and they're actually quite self-directed, high agency people.
Yes.
So they're probably not in the context of like retiring well, actually executing on a retirement plan that is linear.
Yes.
Which which employees do quite naturally through KiwiSaver or through passive investment. But, business owners are a little bit different. They act a little bit differently.
They do. And they don't want to just retire, because what are they going to do? They need something. So the retirement is part of the goal, but there's a whole lot more they need to think about.
Well, I think we did go through a long period of time of like indoctrination of like, you should, retiring was the goal. And then I think a lot of people ended up unfulfilled, and now we're starting to wake up to that. And people are now realizing that why are we framing our success or our time on this planet as this kind of specific end date where I stop doing things?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I love about what I do now, Charlie, is I don't see myself retiring because I can do it even when I'm 80 and couldn't do carpet cleaning because it's flipping hard work. But coaching, I can do that, and I'm not going to retire. And what I'm working now is not being location specific, so that allows me flexibility to travel, which a lot of businesses can do these days. You can work, it doesn't matter where you are. You just need an internet connection and a laptop or a phone, and you can operate anywhere. And so for me, doing what I do, because it's not necessarily physical, but I can keep doing that till whenever. And so it's not about retirement, because I love what I'm doing. So why would I give that up just because the tradition is you retire at 65 or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, kind of moving on from that then, I guess, quite nicely, is like, where do you see, what does success look like for you in the next 5 years? Like what you're doing, are there any new aspects you want to pick up? Is there like a state in 5 years where you're like, that would be...
I think for me, in 5 years' time, we talk about that being location
agnostic.
So I can do what I do anywhere in the world. Starting to do a bit more speaking and things, so that allows opportunity to. I love travel, so for me, in 5 years, traveling the world, doing what I do, and that's what I'm kind of working towards. So I'm not stuck in one place. So I can do training, and I can do that online potentially. I still love the face-to-face, but having those options, whether I do it face-to-face or I do it online, and so setting myself up to be a little bit more independent of location, which just gives flexibility. It doesn't mean that will be the case, but
that's like the goal.
But that's the goal.
That's what you're aiming for.
So when you talk about kind of going from manager to leader, often it's like, often you end up in a role because you're good at it, and then you become a manager of it, and then you're just obviously observing what people are doing, not as good as you often. What are some like first steps to change what I think perhaps you're internally thinking a manager is? Right?
Yes. Firstly, I think you've got to work on yourself, personal growth. So I think in order to lead, the hardest person to lead is yourself.
Yeah.
is the same. And so I think we have to start working on ourselves from a personal growth perspective, but then also look at leadership books around that will help you get the tools. Because that is a problem, particularly in New Zealand, is people get promoted because they're really good at their job.
Yeah.
But leadership's a completely different skill set, right? And we often set up our people for failure. And rather than, well, ideally, a company should start developing their people before they get to that point. Find the people that have potential, start investing in them and upskilling them, so that when that promotion does happen, they're
ready.
They're ready for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we set them up for failure, right?
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is people default to what they've seen or experienced as a leader.
Yeah.
Right? Which is not always
the
right way. And so find good books that help, or go on courses that help you develop those skill sets. Like I'm reading a great book at the moment called The Best Leaders Don't Shout.
Right.
By Bruce Cottrell from New Zealand, actually.
Yeah.
And just talking about his experiences as a 5-time CEO of leading. And there's some great strategies in there that are practical. So don't just read a book on theory, look at the practical side. Yeah. And one thing I loved about that, he talked about, walking, managed by walking around. Yeah. And the acronym is, what does that mean? And it's like, as a manager, take time, get out of your office, walk around the office, talk to people, find out what's going on in their world, right? Find out how they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, well, that's a really practical, powerful way.
Yeah.
And it builds trust. It shows that people are valued and that you care about them. And so there's lots of things like that are very practical. So find practical leadership book that will help you lead and change your mindset about leading. Because it's not, one of the things I teach is 5 levels of leadership.
Yeah.
Right. And the first level is position. And we all start there. And it's the title on the door.
Yeah.
And we lead by authority. And it's like, you do what I say because I'm the boss.
Yeah.
We've all probably experienced that, those words at some time. And so we've got to move away from it, because that's not the best place to be. Right. But everyone starts there.
Yeah.
But the next one is to lead by permission.
Now my phone's gone, but that's fine. You're still talking with me.
So where people will follow you because they want to.
Yeah.
Right. And for leadership is all about other people. And I think if we can change our mindset to understand that leading people is all about others, not about ourselves, then that will go a long way for us being a successful leader and well-liked. Yeah. And things like that. So our job as a leader is to help our team do their job to the best of their ability. And more often than not, leaders are more worried about their own ego and looking good, rather than helping their team be successful. Yeah, that's awesome. If we do that, we look good by default. So if we help a team perform, then that automatically makes us look. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate the chat.